So I just got out of Rambo Last Blood, and already the thoughts and feelings are swelling up in my mind. I can't even come home to talk about this, but in part because I'm so busy, and I'm kind of worried that if I wait any length of time, I'll kind of lose my thought process. So I came out in public. I'm hiding to record this on my cell phone to give you my thoughts on Last Blood. And I think I was not too impressed. I feel like a lot of people have been kind of down on this movie, but after having gotten out of it, after having seen it myself, I have the distinct impression that people are going after it for the wrong reasons. I feel like people are attacking it for some kind of like a political reason, for out of some assumption that like it's pushing some kind of a political agenda, when personally I didn't see that at all. I saw nothing of the sort in it. It's just a movie about a guy going to Mexico and fighting some thugs. There's nothing inherently political about that. I had no problem with that whatsoever. What I did have a problem with, though, and my thoughts on this in general, well, I guess I should sum up my final thoughts because at the same time, as much as I don't think I liked the movie, not truly liked it anyway, there are things to like about it. And coming out of it and thinking about it, my immediate thoughts were, upon seeing the credits roll, was like, that's it. Now, that's it doesn't mean the movie was bad, right? If anything, I would describe the movie as being almost good. The movie comes so close to getting a real, genuine, emotional reaction out of you and just doesn't quite get there. It's kind of phenomenal how it tries to. It's about an hour and a half long, right? And my immediate thoughts, even before the movie was over, I think, was that like it needed to be longer because first we have to establish like what Rambo has been doing and since the last movie. We have to establish his relationship with these new characters. We have to establish this new conflict. We have to establish what this girl is doing. We have to get her in trouble. We have to have Rambo go save her. Things have to happen, and then you have the climax, and then you have to close it satisfactorily. And in a lot of ways, especially in the climax, it feels like it doesn't quite hit the mark in any regard. It comes really close with the character building stuff because you really do get the impression that Rambo does care about this girl. They really do. They do a pretty good job of like establishing their relationship and establishing what's going on. But it needed to be a little bit more fleshed out. It needed a little bit more time to really settle and get you invested. Like it's like they do the bare minimum and nothing more. And there's nothing really impressive about that. Like Rambo is a series about like a psychologically scarred war hero having problems adjusting to normal society. So Rambo 5 should have really emphasized how much of an effect raising this girl had on him, how much of a positive influence they had been on each other. And on Rambo's end, you don't really get a whole lot of that. In fact, for a good part of it, I was really questioning why this was a Rambo movie at all. I think it could have been a standalone film. I really did. But towards the end, I really got this impression that this was supposed to be like a... It was supposed... It's sort of like it reminds me a lot of Rocky Five, right? And I think this will be the Rocky Five Rambo movies. Apparently, Stallone can't make fifth movies in a series without people bitching about them. But it reminds me a lot of Rocky Five, where you can't really do what you were doing in the past anymore, and you have to move on and try something a little bit different, and it doesn't necessarily work out, even though it has legitimately really good ideas. I actually do defend Rocky 5 to an extent because it was sort of like a prototype to the Creed movies, or at least I haven't seen the Creed movies, but from what I understand, right, I've seen Rocky 5. Rocky 5 is about an aging Rocky taking on an apprentice and sort of establishing himself as more of a mentor type character rather than like an actual fighter. And you can kind of it could have been a really neat concept. It really it was a nice change of pace. Like, you can't keep fighting like characters like Drago at movie after movie after movie and continue to have people take it seriously. Rocky Rocky 5 did have the right idea with the direction it should have gone in. And you can argue about the execution all you want. I really need to see the movies again because I really want to give my opinions on that one. But like, I'll defend the concept to the death because I think it was absolutely brilliant. And I think that was the first Rocky movie that I really fell in love with. That made me realize that I wanted to see more of the series, I should say. It's just been so long since I've seen it. It's hard to say what my actual thoughts on it are. But like, this reminds me a lot. It feels like they were trying to do a lot of the same things here, where Rambo is older now and he sort of, has this grown daughter who's like questioning the world and like his values and stuff like that. If you had dedicated an extra hour to dedicating to explaining their relationship, like, this probably would have been a phenomenal movie. And that's why I say it was almost good, because the movie does not take the time to really give their relationship real weight, to give what happens real emotion to it, to real value. It does not make you care about the characters. And I think that's the problem with the movie. It relies too much on the Rambo name and doesn't try to really push the bar enough. In fact, I think the girl, Gabriella, I think her name is Gabrielle, she should have been just as fleshed out as a character as Rambo. This movie should have mostly been about her. I think it should have been about her relationship with John Rambo and how it comes to an end. That's how I think. If it would have been about that, if that had been the way it was structured, this might have been a phenomenal, heartbreaking movie. Really, really well done. Like, it could have been great, but it's not. It almost reaches that point. It almost becomes good. They almost do a lot to, like, really. They have so many great ideas, so many great plot threads. That they just don't follow up on. No really good resolution. They have one really good, surprising plot twist moment, like one that I honestly didn't see coming. And if the movie had been better edited. I want to say it's better edited because, like, it's not a performance problem. I don't think it's a writing problem. Like, again, if it was longer, if it had more scenes to it, like, this could have been a fantastic end to the series, right? Yeah. What is he going to do? Like, make a Last Blood Part 2? He said 4 was going to be the last one. That was a decade ago. Like, I don't know what the status of this series is. Is this really going to be the last blood? Honestly, seeing that ending sequence, I honestly kind of doubt it. But, like, just all in all, it needed to be longer. It needed to have more character moments. It needed to have more action. It needed to have more characters, maybe. Like, flesh out the villains more. Flesh out the girl more. Flesh out, like, that family more. Flesh out, like, just how much Gabriella sort of understands who Rambo is. Like, they kind of hint that she knows what he's been through, but, like, it's never really explained. They do a good job of, like, explaining, showing how close they are, but they don't really linger on it enough. And it just, again, that's, I think, my final thoughts on it. It needed to be longer. It needed more emotion to it. Like, but I think this is, I'm not putting it, this is the reason I really want to leave this on. It's not as bad as something like Star Wars Episode 7 or what other movies have been raging at lately. Like, I don't think it's as bad as most movies that get made today. Like, all of my problems with it, like, they can mostly be found in other films. Like, I think most modern films have trouble really giving characters their own personality and feel, and they just feel so generic a lot of times. Like, I was thinking about this while I was watching the movie. Like, if you compare Last Blood to First Blood, I feel like I can remember a lot of who these characters are, even though it's been years since I've seen it. I remember, like, how he's, like, getting sprayed down at the police station. I remember how the situation escalates. I remember how he kills a guy. I remember how they bring in the army. I remember that, like, the guy who oversaw Rambo in the army. Like, I don't remember a lot of names or, like, exactly how it happens, but, like, I remember that. In this, I don't think it's as memorable. I don't think it's as iconic. And I have to say, I don't think they had the. I strongly doubt they had the same writing team or whatever, and I just. Uh, of course they haven't. That was like that movie was made in like what 78. I want to say something like that. Um, it should have been a lot better. Like I think it could have been a lot better. It should have been a lot better. Could have been, but I don't think it's bad at the same time. Like, I think the sequences they show are enjoyable. I think they're reasonably well shot. I think they have, like, a reasonably good plot. It just needed, like, to be fleshed out more. Again, another hour, another rewrite of the script would have done this thing wonders. I hope I hope they have like more scenes. I hope they released an extended cut or something because I think that might be like a definitive version. I wonder if this movie was just fucked by the editing team because I feel like if certain things were explained more, if like the pacing was better, if they just got rid of like certain needless scenes, like I'm specifically thinking of when they're coming back. Like Rambo actually goes to Mexico, comes back, goes back, and then comes back again. When like I don't think you need that trip there and back. Like I think you could just go to Mexico, come back, and then they come after you. You don't need to like that was time they could have had to dedicate like to improving the plot and improving the story and just could have been more dramatic. I think it just doesn't really have the same weight to it. I think if it had just sort of if they had just followed him to begin with, I think that would have kind of fixed a lot of my problems with the second half of the movie in particular. Again, it feels like it could have been a lot better. I'm not attacking the movie at all. I haven't looked at any critic reviews because I never look at critic reviews, but I'm being told that the film is being outright attacked, and then you have people defending it because like people are attacking it. Again, I don't think I'm on either side. I think the movie is a bit of a mixed bag. I'm leaning towards a negative at the moment, but again, it was almost good.